today's world, changing your mindset.
You know, they say it's the food of the spirit. But how many people actually eat out of it? Or how many people believe in it? Good to have you in another edition of your Working with Your Talk Show, Be This World. It's my pleasure to have you join us this week. A quick break, I'll be right back. Don't be away. And remember, keep dancing.
Disruptive Africa Expo was created as a result of the technological revolutions and initiative of FOUTH technologies, with the revelation that about 85% of Africans are not aware of this revolution.
Well, it's not the only place. Education is important because that is where you feed the workforce from, right from nursery to primary to secondary, and then at the tertiary level. If I go top down, at the tertiary level, what many countries are doing, and what I do in America, is that they have embedded people of practice. That means people that have experience in setting up entrepreneurial business or technology business, and brought them into the universities as entrepreneur in residence, which is what I do at Columbia Business School. And my area of focus is technology, entrepreneurship, and emerging markets.
As regards the fourth industrial revolution thing, you seem to know about it because you're here, and maybe you already had prior knowledge about it. So what do you think about people who are at home who have absolutely no idea about it, especially young people? How do you think they could get to know about it, and how do they get prepared about it?
Now, it took me a while to get grasp of the fourth industrial revolution, and that was a problem. In fact, when I discovered, I was amazed at how something this phenomenal is happening around me, and I didn't know about it. And I've always wondered how to get the message across to other people. Now, I asked a question about during the event about my business, because there's financial inclusion, and I keep wondering how do I bring a product to a client, a customer who has airtime. People know how to recharge their phones, they're always doing that, but how can they use that airtime to pay for products that I bring to them without necessarily putting in all their bank details of their debit card? How could they just use their airtime and make it simple? And these are questions that we ask every day, and what populates the system, or what we call the ecosystem. But now on the fourth industrial revolution, I'm glad I know about it, but I'm not in the educational sector, so not being in that sector, I wouldn't really know how to get across to them. But I would say that we probably need to start campaigns. Now, people are on Facebook, people are on Instagram, but instead of populating our Facebook and Instagram pages, our Twitter pages with discussions on politics and discussions on entertainment and other forms of discussions, let's start engaging these social media platforms on discussions on innovation, because we have to stir up people's interest. The average youth wants to become an entertainer, not because they're talented in entertainment, but because that's what they hear every day. They go online, they're seeing the latest story on Davido, Wizkid and the rest, and they're seeing money, 30 billion in my account, and hearing all these things, and they're not being creative, because all they're thinking about is arts and entertainment. They are not creative, and I think that's a big flaw. That is a big flaw. So what we need to do is to start engaging people on innovative talks online. And we have to think of a creative way to do it, because young people, if it's not interesting, it's not making them laugh, it's not exciting, they won't find themselves in it. So we have to look for a way to make innovation interesting. So yes, the government can pursue innovation in schools, create the syllabuses and educational systems to support innovation. But if we want young people to aspire to become technocrats in technology, then we need to make it interesting for them.
disruptive revolution in the world. And in Nigeria, you will agree with me that about 60, if I'm not exaggerating, or 70% of Nigerians don't even know about this. I don't know. So what do you have to say about this? And if it's true, how do we actually get people to know about what is happening in the world? It's not just Nigeria.
Okay, so you're all right, but it's probably closer to about 80 to 90% of people who are unaware of this, because globally, right, all of these trends are very, very new, right? So whether it's artificial intelligence, right, or 3D printing, right, or virtual reality and augmented reality, drone technology, robotics, these technologies are fundamentally transforming not just their industries, but every other industry around them, from agriculture to manufacturing to the aviation industry to education. So the reason why this is so important, right, is that we really, really have to make sure that people are ready for this transformation.
I'm attending this conference on disruptive technology. I find it very interesting because
No, the disruptive technology innovation is the fourth one that is about to happen. And in my last guess, I was actually asking that about 70% of Nigerians don't even know about it. And he said no, about 90% of Nigerians don't know about it. Now, how can we live in a world where the world is always leading us? Now, what is it actually for the benefit of the layman to understand what it is and how companies can leverage and benefit from it and the society at large?
Yeah, thank you. I guess one reason is called the fourth revolution. I mean, people are thinking of the industrial revolution of the past, and they're thinking that technology is introducing another revolution.
I guess a lot of SMEs at the moment expect that airtime is the solution to this. But airtime is not. Airtime is a very expensive channel. And so, you know, we are looking for new ways or new methods of doing it.
What usually happens is that a new technology comes out and Africa waits. We wait to see what the use cases are, and then you can teach it to us. But by that time, we've already had 1 or 2 years pass, and these other economies are already experts at these technologies, which means that we don't gain economically. Because remember, you only gain economically if you produce, right? If you create solutions using these technologies. There's never been a time like this in the rest of the world.
So why do we have to wait all this time? Why do we have to wait for long to use what other people create? Why can't we be part of the creation? Why is this always so?
What he's trying to say is that we're trying to enable financial inclusion. You know, every day Nigerians carry out many transactions, open your account, transfer money, you know, savings, have access, basic information to normal banking activities.
What usually happens is that a new technology comes out and Africa waits. We wait to see what the use cases are, and then you can teach it to us. But by that time, we've already had 1 or 2 years pass, and these other economies are already experts at these technologies, which means that we don't gain economically. Because remember, you only gain economically if you produce, right? If you create solutions using these technologies. There's never been a time like this in the rest of the world.
So why do we have to wait all this time? Why do we have to wait for long to use what other people create? Why can't we be part of the creation? Why is this always so?
So Africa is usually quite, we're very risk adverse, right? So we've seen a lot of things fail, right? We see a lot of the challenges around us. So most people say, why are you looking at artificial intelligence or drone technology when we have, you know, corruption or poverty or, you know, problems with corruption, right?
I think people are right to talk about a revolution because they're thinking about the industrial revolution of the past. It's right to consider it a revolution, okay? But I would rather think first of disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation does not need you to create necessarily a new product or a revolutionary product. No, you can take a product that has been historically more expensive and out of the reach of the common people, make it more affordable, more accessible, and to more people.
From the talk, we mentioned a lot of the barriers, right? And these barriers are very deeply ingrained. One of them is unfortunately government, right?
And our school system.
And our school system, right? It trickles down. So education, government are the two things that can be a problem, but those are changing slowly. But how do we leapfrog even these two sectors, right? We need to be looking at catalyzing bottom-up innovation, using things that can accelerate the ecosystem. So whether this is innovation hubs, whether this is funding that is being directed towards new kinds of startups that are focusing on these technologies, whether it's skills building, capacity building. I predominantly like to look at the space sector, right? And the space sector is something that's very far off. It's even further off than even some of these other technologies. And I go outside and speak about what's happening locally here. I really fundamentally think that we have the skill sets, we have some of the technology, but then when we accelerate these things, we can truly benefit from the advantages in the long run.
Artificial intelligence has come to stay. We are a company that is trying to bring the future to you. We have a product that we're taking into the market called CASBA, Cloud Automated Spend Bank Analytics. CASBA is meant to help the everyday user pay their bills, transfer funds, and do airtime top-up and other spend analytics activities via a single interface chatbot, something like WhatsApp.
First of all, make an expensive, scarce product cheap and accessible to more people. That is innovative thinking. That way you can disrupt what is currently happening right now. For instance, I'll give you an example. You know Uber? Yeah. We use an app to take a cab. Now, that is within the reach of everybody right now. Before Uber, to take a cab by yourself, you needed to have enough money to rent a cab, okay? Drop. Remember the typical drop? That was a lot more money. But right now, with just the app, anybody with as little as 500 naira can be the only person in a cab.
This is fundamentally a problem. We need to be bolder about using technology. Technology is only a tool to solve the problems that are around you, right? And when you solve those problems, you find that you can scale within the country and then even export those solutions and technologies outward to other economies, right? And this is when you really grow as a country, right? So yes, Africa in the past has always taken the back seat, right? And that's why people say that we're usually on the menu when it comes to international economies, right? Now we need to take a proactive step to be at the table, right, rather than on the menu. So Africa is usually quite, we're very risk adverse, right? So we've seen a lot of things fail, right? We see a lot of the challenges around us. So most people say, why are you looking at artificial intelligence or drone technology when we have, corruption or poverty or, problems with corruption, right? This is fundamentally a problem. We need to be bolder about using technology. Technology is only a tool to solve the problems that are around you, right? And when you solve those problems, you find that you can scale within the country and then even export those solutions and technologies outward to other economies, right? And this is when you really grow as a country.
Interestingly, we're about to launch a new service called 9Pay. It's effectively PayPal, but PayPal, from a Nigerian point of view, where from any you can fund a wallet effectively from any bank account in Nigeria, and that allows you effectively pay for digital services. There's also the fact that we are launching a new direct carrier billing option with Google Pay, with Google Play, I beg your pardon. So from an app, you can effectively pay using Naira from any bank account. So a lot of these new innovations are coming through to help SMEs effectively monetize, because to be honest, you cannot achieve scale without the ability to monetize.
Basically, Disruptive Africa Expo is an event we've run annually for the past 3 years, and compared to our previous events, today's one, in a way, we're able to meet our objectives because we brought some of the key players you understand, in the technology ecosystem in Nigeria and Africa, you understand, who are experts in some of the technologies we are actually trying to evangelize to promote the fourth industrial revolution in Africa. Because what I would like to know, the fourth industrial revolution is here, and the opportunities are available for us because technology has become democratized. So the onus is now left for us if we actually want to leverage on them or refuse, and then we get some while the rest continents of the world that have leveraged these opportunities use them to ensure digital transformation.
Right? So yes, Africa in the past has always taken the back seat, right? And that's why people say that we're usually on the menu when it comes to international economies, right? Now we need to take a proactive step to be at the table, right, rather than on the menu.
So what are the things that we are doing, putting in place to be at the table?
Okay, so from the talk, we mentioned a lot of the barriers, right? And these barriers are very deeply ingrained. One of them is unfortunately government, right?
And our school system.
And our school system, right? It trickles down. So education, government are the two things that can be a problem, but those are changing slowly. But how do we leapfrog even these two sectors, right? We need to be looking at catalyzing bottom-up innovation, using things that can accelerate the ecosystem. So whether this is innovation hubs, whether this is funding that is being directed towards new kinds of startups that are focusing on these technologies, whether it's skills building, capacity building. I predominantly like to look at the space sector, right? And the space sector is something that's very far off. It's even further off than even some of these other technologies. And I go outside and speak about what's happening locally here. I really fundamentally think that we have the skill sets, we have some of the technology, but then when we accelerate these things, we can truly benefit from the advantages in the long run.
Oh, still dancing. Welcome back if you just joining us. This is Baby's World. My guest today on the show is one woman I've known for a very long time. She's a role model. We're going to be talking about music. I know people will wonder, why is Billy dancing? Don't you like dancing? Oh my God, I love dancing. Forgive me. Join me to welcome on the show, Apostle Jane Maxwell. She's the presiding apostle at Relms International, Relevance Ministry International, aka Jesus My Evidence. I don't know what is your evidence, but join me to welcome this role model and an apostle on the show. I like it. Wow, Dr. of Zion. Am I right?
Yeah. You're looking good.
Like this?
Yeah.
When I grow up, I want to be like you.
Oh my God. I'm blushing, baby, stop.
An apostle in Nigerian churches. You've been how many years in the pulpit today?
I'm 19 years behind the pulpit. I'm in pulpit.
19 years?
Yes.
That's next since you actually started when it was not easy for women to
be on
pulpit. How was it like starting?
Well, starting.
Unlike today, it's easy.
It's everywhere.
Yes, you have a lot of women who are pastors.
It's really been challenging though, but I really want to thank God who's been there all through the years. Started all while I was still in secondary school.
Tell us.
Yes, I was when the calling came. Born into a Christian family.
Yeah, exactly. In this part of the world, we're used to this. I have a call, I have a call. Everybody have a call. Even when you don't have a call, you can even call yourself. So how do you actually know that you had this call?
Being in school then, I had this series of encounters though, but I never knew what it was all about because like I said earlier, born into a Christian family whose parents, like the dad is a reverend, mother is a pastor, who didn't really give, much more concerned to the children on that spiritual level.
Exactly.
You know, so I was just doing my own thing. You know, at times you just wake up in the morning, you have some revelation, you see some things, you can't just like explain how it is. You know, you go to your parents and you're like, you say something, it's coming to pass. Yeah, and you're seeing something and you're telling them so thing is going to happen so day, and it happens, and they're like, are you sure this person is not possessed? You know, that's the normal thing those days when you see a child, you know, manifesting in this kind of, you know, aspect. They're like, are you sure that child is not possessed?
It's not possessed.
You could, exactly, yeah. All of that. You know, so that was just it until, you know, when it fully came on me, you know, that was when I gave my life to Christ.
Which year are we talking about here?
98, 99.
You were still in school then, high school.
Yeah. That was when the whole thing started. And then when I went into full-time service, you know, serving under a great man of God, and began to fund the whole thing.
How is the name of this great man of God who actually directed you to where you are today?
I don't think I want to mention that.
It's okay, no problem. It's okay. That's nothing. It's okay. We respect that.
But right now, you know, even as a dad, right now I'm still, you know, by His grace, I've been under several men of God. Right now, my spiritual father's name is Anselm Maduko, Apostle General. They call him Apostle General Anselm Maduko.
Revival Assembly.
Yes, Revival Assembly. That's my father in the Lord, you know. So, but I didn't start there. Yeah, I didn't start with him. So that was just how this whole thing started.
Now, in our society today, a lot of people have been misusing their talents. I'm a pastor. You see people, a lot of people who say they're pastors. I'm an apostle. I'm an evangelist. But by the time they hear the answer, you need to ask yourself a question. If this is the way
such persons should behave,
then there's no point getting close to God. People like you, what are you doing to educate people? Because don't you think, to me, I think they're actually pushing people away from God.
Well, you're not far from the truth, but the truth is, it's not even about them themselves. Because, like I said earlier, they didn't call themselves, God calls them. God is not looking for the perfect people. He's looking for the imperfect people to perfect.
I love that.
Yeah, so whoever you see having this calling, or that he or she is a pastor or whatever, you can't even judge them. Because if you ask them from their heart of hearts, a lot of them never wanted to be pastors. Not they want to be an apostle. But they were where they were when God looked for them and said, just do something for me. I need you to come, you know, do this work for me. And so, if you're not matured enough spiritually, you will deviate. Because maybe it's because of some of their lifestyle. But if you're mature enough in the spirit, you will know that these things is nothing at all to get you perturbed, because they are all humans also, they are not spirits.
Wow! We've heard it from Apostle herself. She has said it all. She said one thing that actually caught my attention. She said God is not looking for perfect man. He's looking for imperfect person to perfect. Oh my God. That catches my heart. So we should stop expecting more than what people can give to us. We don't, he said, oh God, let me not even go into the spirit. I think it's been wonderful talking with this wonderful woman of God. In fact, I'm already in the spirit. Let me not start flowing before I will start telling you that I've been called. I will start questioning the lights and the phone that they're using calling me. I've not been called. I'm still here talking to you. Wow! That's much we've taken today on the show. Remember, if you miss this interview, you can watch it online on www.bdisworld.tv.